Hello and welcome to another episode of the Theo Keeps Talking podcast, where you may laugh or you may learn, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. My name is Theo, and the most important question of the day: how are you all doing? Wow, it has been a little minute. Last episode, I unleashed all of my basketball hot takes, and today is the continuation. So if you're interested in the precursor to today's episode, check that out when you get a chance. Today is my favorite kind of episode. It's all overreactions and hot takes and just flow of consciousness. The NBA season is officially over, so of course, it's time to let the takes loose. For the recommendation section today, wow, I got some heat. I was right about taking a break between episodes because, man, my recommendations are fuego today. We got Summer by Careless, Clutch by Coltrane featuring Kiana Lede, Fun Fact by El Hay featuring Rick Ross, Star Signs by Odunsi featuring Runtown, Separated by El Hay, and Time for Me by Migos. Just all fire, all heat. Also listen to the Smiley and Drake song, and what I gotta say is Smiley he has to have some dirt on Drake that we don't know about. Like, there's gotta be something nefarious going on, because just what was that? Drake putting up, his usual 35.7 rebounds, just his usual. But what was that? It was so bad that on Twitter earlier, I saw that there was a version of the song that didn't have Smiley on it. It was just Drake. And I was like, hey, this is kind of hot, But that's just how it be. For shows, I haven't really done much TV shows necessarily since the last episode, but I watched Mayor of Easttown, which was wild. HBO Max got some shows that'll make your jaw drop for sure. I'm like, what is going on here? But I never realized just how strong the Delco, the Delaware County accent was until I started watching the show. I was like, when I was in Philly, it must have just slipped my mind. But I'm like, wow, this is strong. As far as movies or projects in general, I'd say, I watched this Drew League documentary on YouTube called The Drew, No Excuse, Just Produce. It was really good. It was really good for sure. And I also watched this Cleveland Cavaliers documentary by Secret Base on YouTube. It was so good. Like, that is, if there's anything I can recommend as far as something to watch, it's like 2 hours, but it's on YouTube by Secret Base, and it's an entire series based on the Cavs, and it was so good. So good. Also, as I'm recording this, a little while ago, Juneteenth was made a federal holiday, so happy belated Juneteenth to everybody. Juneteenth is certainly more important to me than the 4th of July by all measures, and now it's being recognized as a federal holiday, and I think that's pretty cool for sure. I think it's the first new federal holiday since they introduced MLK Day in 1983, which is crazy, but hey, the more people that know, the better. So, let's just talk about the most recent development while it's on my mind: the NBA Finals. And of course, for someone who loves good basketball, hot takes, and pure chaos as much as I do, I was ready for some unbiased slander going into the postseason, but I also got some all-time performances. So let's start with my overall thought process. Chris Paul slander isn't more fun than uplifting Giannis. Now, I understand that Chris Paul is the only player in NBA history to blow 4 different 2-0 series leads, and ironically, the only person with 3 of 2-0 series blown leads is his former teammate Blake Griffin. I understand, but not too much slander to be given. He did what he could. However, CP3 did try to kill Giannis at the end of game 5, which was crazy. On the play where Drew rips Booker and he throws a lob, if you look at it, Chris Paul literally two-hand shoved Giannis out of the air, or at least he tried to. But Giannis had a bad landing, Chris Paul might not have even been allowed to play game 6. It was that egregious of an attempt, but this is Chris Paul, who flops and punches players in the nuts, so it wasn't all too surprising. But what a play that was. Giannis with the flex, the stare down after. LeBron's in the background of the shot. There's a fan in the front row who's literally covering their eyes. I'm like, dang, Giannis is here. Since you're here to listen to me talk, I might as well provide my actual input on why I thought the Bucks won. No matter what the answer is, it has to revolve around Giannis, but I'll give it to you in tiers. The third grade answer. How did the Bucks win the NBA Finals, Theo? Third grade answer. The Bucks' defense improved as the series went on, and Giannis took over the games with some help here and there. The 10th grade answer. Drew Holiday disrupted the flow of Phoenix's offense by guarding the ball as much as possible. Giannis turned Phoenix's plan to allow him getting fouled into easy points for him. Holiday and Middleton made huge plays on either ends of the floor when needed. The 24-year-old Theo answer, but really long. This is the advanced level calculus in the 8th dimension answer. Whole answer, what happened in the NBA Finals. The Bucks fluctuated their defensive schemes between switching everything and drop coverage in the pick and roll. In Game 1, Phoenix ate them up by making Brook Lopez their victim all the time. Since both CP3 and Book have good pick and roll decision making and elite level mid-range shot making, Lopez was looking like food all Game 1. Game 2, the Bucks actually did a better job at forcing tougher shots and getting better shots of their own. But Phoenix shot 50% from 3, which is insane, and Middleton and Holiday were as cold as ice from the floor, combining to go 12 of 37, which is awful, despite Giannis putting up a 40 ball. Game 3, it was all about the Bucks defense. They finally figured out exactly what they wanted to do scheme-wise. In Game 1 against Atlanta and Game 1 against Phoenix, they just soft-switched everything. Basically just switching when someone shows up for any reason. Switch on a flare screen, switch on a ball screen, switch on a pin down, switch on a high five. They switched everything for any reason at all. Halfway through Game 2 and the rest of the series on, they were like, hey, we have the best on-ball guard defender in basketball in Drew Holiday. Make sure he stays as close to the ball as possible for as many reasons for as long as possible. And wow, did it work. Book was 3 of 14 for 10 points, and the entire offense was fighting so hard for points. And that happened literally the entire remainder of the series. Credit to Coach Budenholzer, who literally never made any, and I mean any, adjustments before this year's playoffs. He was clearly in the film room this time around, and the Bucks were like, hey, we know we could theoretically put Giannis in the pick and roll action, but instead we'll have him stay low and cover any weak side rotations or lobs, and that mindset worked. It prevented Ayton from getting 1 billion rebounds like he did all playoffs long. It prevented the easy lobs or dribble penetration into layups. It was truly impressive. The Bucks were only allowing to get wide open 18-foot jump shots or fadeaway 18-foot jump shots, but no uncontested threes off of kickouts, no lobs, only tough floaters and fadeaway mid-ranges. And I would say that's all thanks to Drew Holiday. Here's my Drew Holiday appreciation section, because homie was looking like max contract Eric Bledsoe for a minute there. but he really turned it up down the stretch. There is incredible value in making someone like Chris Paul not get to the spots he wants to at the exact time that he wants to. If you watch the Clippers or the Nuggets series, you could see that CP3 wasn't really going super fast through his progressions, but he was just waiting for things to get into place. Make the defense scramble at just the thought of him kicking it out or tossing a lob, then boom, 15-footer. Or he gets the screen. Oh, now that he made the mid-range, that strong side corner helps, so he dishes it for a corner 3. So now he just kicked it out for a 3, so he hits the lob to Ayton. Oh, did he just hit the lob to Ayton? So the weak side corner has to now come in and tag so Ayton can't get the lob, and that's a kick out to the opposite corner 3. And it's all in what's known as the pick and roll pyramid. Master manipulation of everyone on the floor, when things happen, and controlling the defenders with your eyes and the threat to pass or score. If you watch Trae Young or Luka, they're all in this same tier of personnel manipulation using the live dribble and the pick and roll. But Jrue Holiday is probably the best player in the league at avoiding screens. It's so amazing. So CP3 can't just snake dribble around Ayton on the roll for the mid-range because Jrue's right there. So he takes away that mid-range, the easy mid-range option. If Jrue gets a really good jump on the screen, he times it up early, he can get in front of the ball handler and take away the floater. He's just so disciplined on defense. Not to mention, he was picking guys up full court, so it would take longer and longer for the action to start. There were several times where the Ayton screen would come at 15 or 16 seconds in the shot clock for Phoenix to get a good look on a mismatch. But against Milwaukee, games 2 and 3 and on, they took so long to get Jrue Holiday out of the way finally that they only had like 5 or 6 seconds to make a decision. Jrue Holiday was going crazy on defense. Now, this isn't to say that Booker still didn't get his shots, but a mid-range heavy offense doesn't yield many free throws or layups, which also means you don't get to generate too much help defense, which in turn would allow more passes to the wings, so the role players cool down over time. That's why you saw earlier in the series, Mikal Bridges was putting up like 25, 27, whatever he put up, and that just didn't happen again. Simply put, the Bucks defense did an amazing job. Now, Giannis. Wow, what a performance. Such a drastic difference between what we were looking at Game 4 versus Atlanta, when his knee literally goes in a direction it's not supposed to. He finishes the finals as the first player to average 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists on 60% shooting. The first player to ever have a 50-point, 10-rebound, 5-block finals game. One of only 7 players to have 50 points in a finals game. He was amazing. Let's start on defense. He did something literally no other player this entire postseason was able to do. And that's slow down DeAndre Ayton. Yes, he still averaged 12 rebounds a game against the Bucks, but he averaged 14 against the Clippers. And Giannis was the only player who grabbed more offensive rebounds in a series than Ayton since the Lakers, where Andre Drummond grabbed a grand total of 1 more offensive rebound than him. And you know Drummond's basketball awareness is that of a default gray shirt, gray sweats, 2K my career player. You know, Drummond ain't got the sauce like that. He's not that guy, right? Giannis also was the only person to make DeAndre Ayton not shoot 70% from the field. Coming into the finals, DeAndre Ayton was shooting 71% from the field. In the finals, he shot 50. I know shooting 50% is really nice. It's really good. But if you told me, hey, the third best player on the Suns in the finals, the third best player on any team you're facing in the playoffs is going to shoot 20% worse, would you like to have that? The answer is obviously yes. That's such an impactful way to play defense, right? Giannis also did a really, really good job at keeping his blocked shots in bounds. The thing about blocks is that when you block the shot out of bounds, it's basically just a missed shot on the stat sheet, but the shot clock stays the same. The effectiveness of blocking a shot in bounds is that you can actually gain possession of it, making it more like a steal. And Giannis did a great job of that. During the Brooklyn series, I noticed that Giannis was making a solid amount of his 11 to 12 foot post-up fadeaways, which is incredibly valuable to his game. I'd argue it's more important than adding a 3, because a consistent 11-footer leads to better post-up opportunities, more passing lanes, and if the defender goes for the up fake, it's an easy step through for a layup. To which we all know Giannis can make layups, because this NBA Finals, Giannis made an unbelievable 84% of his shots at the rim. Just so good. Just so good. I was looking at how he performed in the 2019 Eastern Conference Finals against the Raptors and looking for what the differences were, even just last year against the Heat while he was healthy. And this year, he was just so much more certain of his moves this time. He was out of control so often in the past. We make fun of Siakam when his primary move was to spin out of danger, but that was definitely Giannis's move as well. Those out of control spins led to more turnovers, and he wasn't as dangerous near the rim because they could just foul him. Now, he has good enough strength and balance to at least reduce his turnover percentage and get to the line and make a good play. Poor DeAndre Ayton, because he was drop-stepping that man into oblivion. He basically used Capella in the Eastern Conference Finals as practice for all of his moves, because he was cooking down low. And credit to Ayton, he has made leaps on the defensive end. He looked like a cone out there last season and the season before, and he did, his best. I mean, getting 50 put on your head in the finals isn't like, the greatest thing to ride home about, but just think of it this way. Imagine if another team played them. Like, think of it this way, right? If the Clippers made it, who would have guarded Giannis? Nobody. He would probably went for 50 every single game, free throws notwithstanding. And let's talk about the free throws. Game 6, he made 17 of 19 free throws. And they looked good. They looked like he shouldn't ever miss his free throws. They looked good. The question was always, what would happen if Shaq made his free throws? You just found out the answer. 50. Amazing. It was so cool. A really silly argument that came up recently and has persisted for a while around Giannis, and I kind of leaned in a lot of it. Was his quote lack of moves, or his bag, so to speak. The discussion was that his bag wasn't deep enough for him to be considered the best player or to win a championship, and it's basically all about aesthetics, which is stupid, right? You know who has a bag that is infinitely deep? Jamal Crawford. You know what Jamal Crawford's ceiling is? 6th man of the year. That's it. Tracy McGrady has a deep bag. What's his ceiling? 1st round of the playoffs. That's it. We give this huge amount of respect and deference to all players who have like more attractive play styles. The MJ, the Kobe's, the KD's, the Melos, the Steph Curry's, the Kyrie's. But if points go on the scoreboard, who even cares? I do not care that Giannis does not have the hezzy pull-up that KD or Carmelo has. If he could score 50 in a finals game, that's enough for me. Literally only 7 players have ever done that. Giannis was amazing. That block on Ayton at the end of game 4 was amazing. The alley-oop where he stared into the camera, oh my god. Drew Holiday, what? First of all, here's how crazy Giannis was on defense. Devin Booker, mid-range master, was dribbling down 1 in the 4th quarter, was about to pull up, saw Giannis, and was like, oh, no. No, thank you. No. Turned around, and Drew Holiday just stole his lunch. And Giannis, if you actually look back at it, there's enough camera angles for this. His eyes get real wide. He's like, ooh. And he starts sprinting down the floor. And I'm just like, how does he have the energy for that? He is sprinting. Like, he's a runner. He's a track star. With 20 seconds left in the game, but with no timeouts. The Bucks are up 1. Drew Holiday just took the ball. And a million times out of a million, you would tell Drew Holiday to pull it out and just dribble. Instead, he was like, I'm going for the game breaker. NBA street style, throws up the lob, and oh my gosh, that was so crazy. Like, had that lob not gone well, he throws it a little too late, a little too high, a little too behind him. Giannis doesn't finish it. Giannis gets hurt because Chris Paul tries to kill him. And it's a whole new situation. You're looking at the Suns possibly being up 3-2 instead. Because, like, if he missed, then the Suns get the ball. Giannis is behind the play. And you got a 5-on-4. And I think they also had a timeout, I think. Either way, the only situation where that was a good pass was the exact situation that happened, where you get an and 1, so you get a shot to actually go up 4. Because if Chris Paul doesn't foul him, it's still a 1-possession game. But he father stretched my hands, the vision, the oop. Oh my gosh, that was so crazy. That's like, it reminds me of this one time. I mean, the dunk was cooler, but there was this NCAA tournament game that happened a long time ago. I might have mentioned this before. I don't remember. But there's this NCAA tournament game that happened years ago. And it's like a 14 or a 13 seed is like about to win the game. They're up. It's a 2-on-1 fast break with like 38 seconds left. And they can just dribble it out. But they have a 2-on-1 fast break. The guy with the ball shoots a 3 in a 2-on-1 fast break with 30 seconds left in a NCAA tournament game. Up. They are up. He shoots a 3. And I'm like, if that doesn't go in, you'll think about it for the rest of your life. But it went in, so he thought about it for the rest of his life. I'm like, that is oh my God, you're going to hell if you miss. You're going to heaven if you make it. There's no in between. It was crazy. And that reminded me of this. Only Giannis dunked it, and we got the father stretch my hands treatment. And it was just so cool. I was freaking out at the audacity of Drew Holiday to toss the game breaker lob on Chris Paul. Chris Paul tried to send that man to the doom dimension. It didn't work out. Bucks in 6. Time to do some all-time comparisons, because why? What else are we doing? Giannis's closeout game is certainly up there with the best. Only the second 50-point finals closeout game since Bob Pettit in 1958. But let's give it a little more context. Some other crazy finals closeout games. Magic Johnson in 1980. A rookie Magic Johnson. Kareem literally did not play. The focal point of the Lakers to this point was Kareem. He did not play. He was hurt. This is a rookie, Magic Johnson, who decided to play center in the era where you needed a center. Decided to play center. He just casually put up 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists in the NBA Finals, and he won Finals MVP because he literally put up that stat line, which is absurd as a rookie. Crazy. Clyde Frazier, 1970 NBA Finals. I'm pretty sure most people know this game because that's the one where like Willis Reed comes out of the tunnel to only score like 4 points. Clyde Frazier, 1970 NBA Finals, Game 7 against the Jerry West Wilt Chamberlain Lakers. Had 36 points, 7 rebounds, and 19 assists on 70% shooting, which is insane. Insane. 1988 NBA Finals. Pistons, Lakers, Game 7. James Worthy has the first and only triple-double of his entire career. The only time it ever happened, ever. Game 7 of the NBA Finals. 36 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists on 68% shooting. Crazy. Oh, and of course, who could forget Game 6, 1998 NBA Finals. Michael Jordan. Of course, the push off on the Jazz crowd, because the Jazz deserve nothing at all. On the Jazz, Michael Jordan quite literally goes for 45 points. Hilariously, 45 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist, right? But the crazy stat about this is that the game was ugly. The game was really ugly to the extent that Michael Jordan scored 45 out of 87 points. Just buckets. I mean, he scored 52% of their points in a game. Game 6. Did I say 7? I meant to say 6. Close out Game 6, because Michael Jordan never played in a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. Trust me, I've heard it a million times. Game 6 of the NBA Finals, 1998. His entire team outside of him puts up 42. He puts up 45. And he hits the shot. So, my final conclusion is this. Was this Giannis series a top 5 performance since 2000? Yeah, I'd allow it. Oh, another closeout game. I need to throw this back in there. Let me get the numbers for y'all. You're going to hear me tick tapping. 2003 Tim Duncan is the thing that just entered my head, because Tim Duncan went ballistic. It's legitimately one of the craziest stat lines I've ever seen in my life. Tim Duncan, Game 6, 2003 NBA Finals against the New Jersey Nets, went for, make sure you're sitting down for this one, 21 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, and 8 blocks. He was 2 blocks away from a quadruple double to win the NBA Finals. What? To win the Finals, he was 2 blocks away from a quadruple double. What does that even mean? Like, what? Just insane. But yeah. Top 5 performance since 2000? Yeah, I'd say so. You got 2000 or 2002 Shaq, one of the two. You can just have whichever one you desire. 2017 Kevin Durant. For some scale, why is Kevin Durant on there? Because he was on a really good team. Kevin Durant was, I think he was 12 he had in the finals, he was 12% true 9 points per 75 possessions higher than average, and 15% true shooting higher than average. So in the finals, he was shooting 15% true shooting better and 9 points per 75 possessions better than everybody else. Crazy. That is crazy. Sorry, better than his regular season numbers. That shows you the level of elevation he went for. 2016 LeBron, I mean, how do you say no to that? But I'd throw this in there. Right around that little margin right there, just because of the defensive impact he had in the 50 ball. The free throws, the 50 ball, just wow. The Suns are definitely a good team, not a super amazing team. Like, the Bucks had the 4th highest defensive efficiency of all time playoff teams that have played at least 10 games. That stat is from Thinking Basketball. But they were an average offense, so they were shaped exactly like the 2002 Lakers, but it's just with the worst offense, right? Big guy, get all the points on the inside. Perimeter player, hit the shots when you need to. You know, that's just how it is. Just the differences. The Lakers were like second that season in like offensive rating, and the Bucks were not. Were not. But what an amazing performance from Giannis. He's had so many just quotes and videos in the past week or so, and just in general, just showing how genuine of a person he is. Just a super likable guy for sure, and I'm just so happy for him. But it's time for slander season. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, bro. Slander season. I'd like to present what I'd like to call the 2021 playoffs first team all disappointment. Starting at center, 7 foot whatever from France, Rudy Gobert. Gobert, screen assist MVP, Lyonnais style potato, slow bear, Go-Gurt, all that. Gobert got absolutely exposed by Ty Lue, Terrence Mann, and the Clippers. Terrence Mann, who's, a fine player, literally scored 39 points off of all practically threes and corner threes off, all guarded by Gobert. The Clippers literally found out that Gobert won't run to the three-point line, so they just played 5 out. And they just started shooting and hitting. And then the Jazz lost. But hey, that's your 5-year, $205 million Defensive Player of the Year, whose contract doesn't start until next year. It's about to get real spooky. The Clippers just gave the NBA the anti-Gobert blueprint. Power forward from, where did he even go to? Arizona. From University of Arizona? Arizona University? I don't know. Aaron Gordon. On a 4-year, $80 million contract. Still can't get over the fact that he hasn't won a dunk contest. Starting the year with the Magic, then getting sent to the Nuggets, who wanted to be a stretch 4 on a good team. Ended up playing the Suns and hitting a grand total of 9 points per game, 4 rebounds on 41% shooting, and made 0 threes in 4 games, and got swept. And this man had the audacity to make a wish list of teams he wanted to go to, just to stink it up. 9 points a game? 9? Ew. Nasty. Small forward, has a great hoop mixtape from the University of Kentucky, Julius Randle. Most improved player, number 1 option on the Knicks. Did he average 18 points and 12 rebounds in the playoffs? Yes. Yes, he did. But he shot 30% from the floor. Yikes. During the regular season, he scored 24 points per game on 46% shooting, only to go to 18 points per game on 30% shooting. Just disappointing for the Garden fans overall, but hey, they had a good run. Shooting guard. He doesn't really play shooting guard now that I think about it, but I had to put him in somewhere. Shooting guard from the University of Tennessee, Mr. Tobias Harris. 19 points per game on 47% shooting against the Hawks. On paper, that's not bad at all. Same points per game, but only 5% worse from his regular season averages. But he is on a 5-year, $180 million max contract. Game 4, 0 fourth quarter points. Game 5, 0 fourth quarter points. Both L's. That can't happen. They lost. That cannot happen. A max player needs to get buckets. And they lost. Both those games, he did not score in 2 consecutive fourth quarters. But he's not the MVP. Because starting at point guard from Montverde Academy, went to Louisiana State University by way of Australia. The first team all disappointment MVP, Ben Simmons. 0 fourth quarter points in games 4, 5, 6, or 7. Ben Simmons missed 48 free throws by the time the Sixers lost to the Hawks. For reference, the Suns as a team, by the end of the second round, missed 29 by that point. And the Nets missed 28 by then. Ben Simmons was the second worst free throw shooter in a single playoff run ever by all players who took at least 50 free throws, only to Ben Wallace. He was worse than Shaq. Wow. He shot 34.2% from the free throw line. Just bad. Just so bad. In the fourth quarter at home in a game 7. Ben Simmons is on the low block. He is 6'11", 240. He was wide open under the rim. Saw 6'1", 175-pound Trae Young rotate over to him, and instead of dunking on him, he passed out of it. Just insane. The Sixers could have had James Harden for Ben Simmons. Oh well. Not like he's on a max contract worth 5 years, $177 million, 2-time All-Star, first team All-Defense, and designed your City Edition jerseys or anything like that. MVP Ben Simmons. Honorable mentions for the first team All Disappointment. Joe Harris shot 47.5% from 3 during the regular season. So basically every other one he made. In games 3 through 7 against Milwaukee, Joe Harris shot 24.2% from the 3-point line. In the most important games he's ever played in, 4 in a row. That's 5 games in a row. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 5 games, 24.2% from the 3-point line. For some scale, Drew Holiday shot 24.3% and Giannis shot 26.1%. Yep. Joe Harris was outshot from 3 by Giannis. And the last honorable mention, Kristaps Porzingis, a.k.a. Tengus Pengus. It is now the Tim Hardaway trade with the Tingus Pingus salary dump. He is no longer a rim protector. He only shot 29.6% the entire series. 29.6%. 5 years, $158 million, and nobody wants him. Because if he can't protect the rim and he can't shoot threes, he's just a tall dude worth a lot of money. Damn. Some more slander, because, I'm just an instigator, right? Dame's teammates folding. Damian Lillard had a 55-point playoff game with a 97% true shooting percentage. 97% true shooting percentage. He made 12 threes and his team lost. Free that man. Free Dame till it's Dame free. Free that man till it's backwards. Oh my God. 55. He was hitting step back, side step, half spin, step back threes. Cash money. And his teammates were selling like they were at the bottom of a pyramid scheme. Just selling. Oh my God. It was crazy. Right? Some more slander. Steve Nash's terrible rotations. Kevin Durant literally willed the Nets to victory in Game 5. Played every single minute. Had 49, 17, and 10. Yet Steve Nash barely gave KD any rest in a Game 7 in which he literally was an inch away from preventing anything we just saw that happen from happening. An inch away. He did not call a KD. He did not call a timeout to give KD rest in overtime. He didn't use his bench really at all and was forcing James Harden on half a hamstring to go out there. Just a bad showing from Steve Nash. And James Harden is getting some slander. Not only is that man kind of shrivels up in the light during the playoffs when he was hurt. I'll give him a pass. James Harden infamously said that he wished, in reference to Giannis, when they were jostling for MVP in 2018, Harden infamously said that he wished he could be 7 feet tall, just run and dunk because that takes no skill at all. And here we are. A 50 ball from Giannis, and Harden hasn't been to the NBA Finals since 2012. Slander myself for being wrong about the Suns and the Clippers. I said on Twitter that I thought the Suns wouldn't be as good as they were. Credit Monty Williams for just scheming up. Credit Chris Paul for being better than I thought. I also said the Clippers would never make the Western Conference Finals, but then again, that means I had to trust Rudy Gobert, and who even am I for trusting Rudy Gobert to do anything? But I was also first team all anti-Paul George, me and my good friend Sheelan, who I had on a previous episode of the podcast, and I've been shown the door this year. But I'm fine going down with my hot takes. There's no shame. There's no regret. Because that's the fun of it, right? Next segment, gotta give credit where credit is due. First person who's due for a lot of credit. Trae Young. I liked him a lot at Oklahoma, but to say he'd be the best player on a conference finals team 3 years into his career was even surprising to me. I'm really happy that he's more or less found his play style. When he was in college, it was more Steph Curry than anything else. But now it's more James Harden. It's more just manipulate the dribble. Like, he is elite level handles, just so good. But he's more the dribble, penetration, get into the lane, cause some mayhem, flop, twerk for some fouls. Trae Young do be twerking for some fouls sometimes, throwing his body around. But it'd be like that when you're 6'1", 175 pounds. Maybe the slightest amount of contact does feel like you're getting thrown around. But hey, I don't know. I'm not 6'1" or 175. He turned into the Knicks villain, the modern Reggie Miller for the Knicks. Well, just embracing the moment. I mean, he's had a lot of haters. Some of his haters were induced by the fact that, ESPN put a tracker in the game of whatever he was doing. Like, there was a telecast of a Oklahoma home game, I think, where they had Trae Young's stats on the screen the entire game. It was crazy. But yeah, he handled it very, 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 very well. Developing into a pick and roll master. I mean, all you have to do is watch game 1 of that Knicks series just to know he knows a lot about the game of basketball. He is one of the best passers in the league. And I don't mean that in a super flashy way. Just if you watch him on a screen, basically the idea is to stop the roll, the guy in the opposite side corner has to tag the roll man. And Trae Young will be throwing a lot of floaters and a lot of lobs that look like floaters and a lot of floaters that look like lobs, So he just throws up lobs and floaters all the time. And to try and stop the lob, you have to tag. That's what it's called. You tag the roll man so that he doesn't just throw the lob and it's 2 points, right? And to kind of keep to keep a defender honest, you have to be able to make a really good pass. Because if it's really obvious what pass you're going to make, the defense can react a little bit, and that gives your shooters a little bit less time to shoot, right? The closeout comes sooner, right? There was 3 plays in a row, or there was a 3-play sample where the Hawks ran what's called a Spain pick and roll. So it's like the first guy gets screened and the screener, then you screen the screener is the term. You screen the screener. So like first guy goes up, sets a screen. Then there's a guy behind him who sets another screen on the guy that just screened. Basically, that's what it means, right? There's 2 screens. And what happens out of that, it almost looks like I formation, There's just so many things that can come out of it. It's almost like if you ran stack, but in the middle of the floor for a pick. Because like the one guy rolls and one guy pops out to the 3-point line, or just a bunch of chaos happens, right? So in that situation, one of the most important players is the low man on the weak side because he has to tag, right? But NBA players are unbelievably good athletes, so they can have 1 foot in the paint and then also defend a corner 3 in like a second and a half. So you need to have a laser of a throw, of a pass, right? Because if you like if you're like telegraphing your pass by looking at the guy, that's like 1/2 of a second less for your shooter to be able to get off a good shot because the defender's going to close on it, right? Trae has one of the best live dribble passing abilities I've ever seen. He'll just dribble, and in the next dribble just whip it without ever putting his other hand on the ball to the opposite corner. He can do it with both hands too. I'm like, that is crazy. And he did it to the Knicks. He did them dirty the entire series, just manipulating with all the types of passes, behind the back, lobs that look like floaters, all that stuff. He was amazing. Then it's about the whole Luka thing. So Trae, Luka, Trae. They both work in their respective cities. I would say to me, it just makes more sense that Trae is in Atlanta because, I'm sure Luka's cool, but I feel like Atlanta would embrace Trae a little differently, if you know what I'm saying, and Dallas would embrace Luka differently. Just think about Atlanta. You got Migos, you got 2 Chainz, you know what I'm saying? And then Dallas is Dallas, right? And it just fits Dirk, international, white to just, I'm just going to throw it, I'm trying to bury the lead there. White, it just works that way. And Trae, Atlanta's very ethnic city, and Trae just kind of fits. He got the swag, he's got the style, you know what I mean? Luka does have some swag too, just, I just feel like if you're asking Quavo, who would you vibe with more, and they're both equally successful, Trae or Luka, it just be like that, right? That's just how it is. So, and then the shimmy, he shimmied and shimmied and shimmied and shimmied. And then game 1, Trae, it felt like he won every game 1, didn't he? Trey won every single game one he played in. Like that Atlanta, like the one against the Knicks, he hit the floater for the win, and then against the Sixers, he threw that lob to John Collins to seal the game. And then against the Bucks, he hit like 48 or something. Like, he was just going crazy. Hit a little shimmy. Drew Holiday got stuck in screen jail for game one and did not happen anymore after that. But Drew Holiday got stuck behind the screen. Trey hit a little shimmy action because Brook Lopez was in drop coverage. And, game one went to Trey every single time. So, very impressed with Trey. Some more credit where credit is due. Shout out Drew Holiday. I was ready. I'm not going to lie to you. Before the NBA Finals, I 100% had Drew Holiday on the first team all slander. I had him because he was putting up bricks. But he was strapping Book and CP3 up, whoever his assignment was that day. And Chris Middleton, Cash Money Middleton, he had the most clutch points in the playoffs, I think. He had the most he had the most clutch points in the playoffs, and he had like the most like fourth quarter buckets or something like that since LeBron in 2007, which was crazy. So shout out to them for playing well. And then first team all surprise. First person on first team all surprise is Cam Payne. To think that he could go from Cam Payne of old to Cam Payne now, where he can actually run some valuable sets and valuable minutes while Chris Paul was on the bench. Just like amazing in general. And what ends up happening is like Chris Paul, like they're not minus in the minutes without Chris Paul, which is crazy. But I'm just really happy for Cam Payne for having like a really good, just playoff series in general. But what ended up happening is the second person to kind of surprise me was Facundo Campazzo. To think that Jamal Murray would go out and Campazzo isn't like a super minus is very surprising. Very, very surprising. Just he did what he could, and then they ran into the Suns, and it was very, very bad because a tiny man could not get around a DeAndre Ayton screen fast enough, and it was just bad news bears. Trey Young, like I mentioned, first team all surprise. Not that Trey Young had too much of a ceiling that he reached. He played unbelievably well, but he was already a really good player versus Cam Payne previously was not a good player or was just an okay player. Then Campazzo, you just didn't know what you were getting. He was good internationally, but Trey Young did very well. Terrence Mann had some moments where, like in the Clippers series, I think, it was in the Clippers Mavericks series, where he, instead of with the game on the line, instead of kicking out to Paul George or Kawhi, he just takes it to the cup and misses. And I'm like, dang. And then you got Gobert out of there. And I'm like, look at Terrence Mann go. And the MVP of the first team all surprise, what really isn't a surprise who it is. It's Reggie Jackson. Like, what? Reggie Jackson was going crazy all playoffs. I'm like, he's just hitting endless huge shots. Every time I was like, the Clippers are about to surrender this lead. Reggie Jackson said, no, we're not. It was crazy. Every single time Reggie Jackson was getting buckets. So, some silly stuff. All-time lists. So all-time lists are kind of weird because it's all about subjective and it's all about eras, and it's all about what you think, who you saw grow up, right? Older people will involve older players, and I'm like, I've literally never seen anything involving Oscar Robertson, but whatever, right? I know he was good. But what ends up happening is there's this huge dialogue since Chris Paul finally made it to the finals about who are the best point guards ever. And I just don't, it was really hard for me to really think about it, right? Because in my head, let's just say I went straight from the top of my head, right? No thought involved. It would be like Magic and Steph and Isaiah Thomas and like Stockton and then Chris Paul, or Chris Paul then Stockton. Then it's like, well, you got to think about Oscar Robertson because he won a ring. He was the first, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, was Oscar Robertson really a point guard? Or did he just play point guard? You know what I mean? It's just weird, right? I would say Chris Paul definitely gets to be in the top 5 if you don't like John Stockton, because you can just get him out of there because he didn't win anything. He had John Stockton has the most steals and most assists in NBA history. Those records won't be broken. But he also had 2 points in the NBA Finals game. It's either 2 or 4. I think it was 2. It was that time where they lost like 96-54 or something like that. He let that happen, So, hey, Chris Paul, is he top 5? Sure, why not? All-time power forwards. Is Giannis the second best power forward now? So the question now is like, okay, Tim Duncan's obviously one. I would say yeah, because like Giannis is now in that Kevin Garnett, Dirk, Anthony Davis, David Robinson kind of mix, right, of power forwards. But Kevin Garnett, was he the best player on his team? Yeah, but it wasn't like a gap, right? Like if he had won a ring in like Minnesota, then him and Giannis would be like, right, like 2A, 2B. Dirk, yeah, like that was very impressive, but I was not nearly as impressive as what just happened. That was crazy. And David Robinson, he won 2 rings, but Tim Duncan was the backpack, and Tim Duncan was the sword, and he was the shield. Very valuable together, but Tim Duncan was getting the MVPs. And it was at the end of David Robinson's career anyway. So I'd say Giannis, second best power forward. Yeah, defensive player of the year, 2 MVPs, a finals MVP, just crazy. But yeah. So I started on this project, right, as we kind of wrap up here. I started on this project a while ago, and I was kind of curious as to, like, just in general, who has the most points responsible for in a series, or in a season, excuse me. And what I mean is, who did the most carrying, And what ends up happening is I was like, hey, let me just build it out. Let me just build a model out. And what ended up happening was I found something really interesting. How do you quantify how much an assist is worth? Because obviously if you assist something, you can't assist free throws, and you can't really quantify how many assists were for threes and how many assists were for twos by looking at the box score. So I had to do some math, and I was like, how should I determine how much an assist is worth? So I basically was like, okay, I'll do the calculation with 2, like the assist just being flat 2, and then I'll do it at 2.25, and then I was like, wait, no, I have a better idea. If I look at a team's 2-pointers made that season and look at their 3-pointers made that season, I can approximate how many points each field goal made was worth for the entire season, right? Obviously, there's some error in here, but you could more or less say, okay, if a team if they made like 2,000 twos in a season and 1,500 threes in a season or whatever, then you can get a good approximation of what each made shot would be worth if you just do the math, right? So I was curious. I had to throw in some LeBron years, some MJ years, some Chris Paul years, some Westbrook years, some John Stockton years, some Allen Iverson years, some Kobe years, some Magic Johnson years, some Luka years, some just some Steve Nash, some Isaiah Thomas. And I was like, I'm curious, right? Some Steph Curry, right? And what ends up happening is I got surprised. I got really, really surprised in the middle, but not at the top. And let me break it down. So the formula was it's like points plus assists times this factor that I came up with, which is relative points per made shot. So it just depends on the season. So, for example, if I sort it smallest to largest, the least points per made shot ever, like not ever, but of the years I calculated, was in 1983 for the Los Angeles Lakers. The Los Angeles Lakers in 1983 made 2.0025 points per made shot. Because they made 3,954 two-pointers that year and 10 threes in an entire season. They made 10 threes. The second lowest points per made shot was the 1985 Chicago Bulls, 2.0084. And that was the same for the 1984 Pistons, 2.0084. The highest points per made shot ever were the 2020 Dallas Mavericks at 2.3636 points per made shot. Then the 2021 Warriors, then the 2021 Mavericks, and the 2019 Mavericks, then the 2016 Warriors. Round of the top five. And I also just kind of wanted to highlight something. Eras. Like, I think I mentioned this offhand before. I actually have a pretty definitive answer right now. Which era allowed the most points? And it was the 80s. Like the rough and tough and you wouldn't survive back in the brouhaha days or whatever, right? The top... Dang, this is a long list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The top 7 teams in terms of how many buckets they made in a year. Like, this is total made field goals. The top 7 teams were all in the 80s. The 83 Lakers, the 85 Lakers, the 85 Pistons, the 86 Lakers, the 84 Lakers. There's the 84 Pistons, the 86 Pistons, the 87 Lakers. Yeah, like, that is crazy. Just a ton of buckets. The 1983 Lakers made 3,964 shots, and only 10 of them were threes. Crazy. Like, just insane. The only team that's in the top, the only team that's from this generation of teams, the 13th place team of the teams I measured, was the 2017 Warriors. They're in 13th. So if y'all thought scoring is wild now, oh my goodness, back then it was crazy. But that's besides the point. Who has the highest combined points and assists? Basically, who has the most points responsible for in a season? Number 10 of points responsible for in a single season. 1991 John Stockton. He had 3,794 points responsible for in a season. Number 9, 1987 Michael Jordan. 3,803 points responsible for. Michael Jordan takes up spots 8 and 7 also. 1990 MJ and 1988 MJ, both at just around 3,800 points, but MJ in 1990, 3,828, MJ in 1988, 3,846. So basically a game difference, right? Number 6 is 2018 Russell Westbrook. 3,887 points responsible for, right? Number 5, 1987 Magic Johnson. 3,986 points. Number 4, 2018 LeBron James. The person I basically made this entire list thinking he would be top 3, top 2. 3,939 points responsible for that season. Number 3 of the players I measured, 1989 Michael Jordan, 3,965 points responsible for. And for some scale, 2018 LeBron, his points per made shot for his team was 2.26. They made 782 threes. Michael Jordan in 1989, his team only made 174 threes. So he was just scoring. He was just getting to the cup. Number 2 all time, 1985 Isaiah Thomas, 3,979 points responsible for, So, for some scale, player 2 is 74 points more responsible for than player 5. So there's a 74 point gap between second place and fifth place. So it's really close to the top. But not for number 1, who is someone you'd probably guess would be at the top of this list. 2017, Russell Westbrook with an absurd 4,417 points responsible for. Yeah. 400 plus points ahead of second place. And for some scale, his team made less threes than 2018 LeBron. So his points per made shot for his team was lower. He was just doing everything. Just so crazy. And of course I was just like, hey, what's the percentage though? Like, can I get a percentage point of team responsible for? And I was like, hey, why not? So I did that. 10th place all time. Points responsible for by a percentage. 1987 Michael Jordan, 44.2. Actually, tied for 10th. Michael Jordan in 1987 and Allen Iverson in 2005 at 44.2% responsible for their entire team's points. Points in general. Because you can't be responsible for someone else's free throws. Yes. 44.2%. Number 9, 2006, Kobe Bryant. 44.4% responsible for. Number 8, 1991, John Stockton. 44.5% responsible for. 1998, Michael Jordan, number 7, at 44.7 points responsible for. Number 6 is 2008, Chris Paul at 45% even. Number 5 is 2006, LeBron James at 45.1%. 1989, Michael Jordan is number 4 at 45.4%. Number 3 is 2009 Chris Paul at 46.7%. Number 2, 2018 LeBron James, 48.9% responsible for all of his team's points. And number 1, back-to-back, 2017 Russell Westbrook was responsible for 50.5% of his team's points. Oh my gosh, that is crazy. With every passing day, I get less and less unhappy about the fact that he won MVP that year. 50.5 is an absurd amount of responsibility. But then at the same time, it only makes me appreciate LeBron in 2018 more. That's just crazy. So that's your random basketball fact of the day. Points responsible for Russell Westbrook, insane. Closing notes, the NBA draft, I think, is next week. First overall pick will probably be Cade Cunningham, very versatile player, very under control, good athleticism, good jump shot, good decision making, good defense, like very well-rounded player. Can play the 2, can play the 3, can play the 1. Very good player. But my son, my favorite, the chosen one that isn't LaMelo, my second favorite prospect ever, Jalen Green. Oh, my son. I love Jalen Green. I love Jalen Green so much. So much. I saw him do this thing. It was absurd. When you're a high level prospect, you can do whatever you want in a game, right? Because who's going to say no? You're going to go to the league anyway, right? There was one time in a game where Jalen Green's on a fast break. He bounces it off of the floor to himself as an oop, and he dunks the ball on the way up. And I was like, hold on now, player. What was that? He is on a fast break, throws the ball off the ground. He bounces it, catches it, literally throws it in. And as he throws it in, he has not descended yet. He's still going up as he throws it in. His hair is above the rim. Like he's flying, literally. It is insane. And I was like, I'm in forever. And it's just crazy. He's a very good shooter. I told Allie, right, my girlfriend, I told Allie that, hey, this is going to be our favorite basketball player. And she's like, why? I'm like, because he's Filipino. And she's like, okay, fine. That's all it took. And I was like, yes, I can make her watch him with me. I was like, this is all I needed. Jalen Green is Filipino and black, yes. So just like our kids will be, right? So I was like, hey, he's Filipino. And she's like, yay, cool, I'll watch. I'm like, let's go. It's all I needed to hear, because now she'll watch with me, right? Jalen Green, he was on the G League Ignite team, so basically like that G League team where like they're like, hey, we're gonna make a path so the best high school players don't have to go to college, and they're like, sure. He played well in the G League. He was playing against grown men, you know. Good jump shot, great athleticism. Not the best passer. I think he only averaged like 1.5 or less assists a game in the G League. So he's not a playmaker, so to speak. He's just a elite level shot creator. He needs to tighten up his dribble. He dribbles with his head down. And I know what I'm talking. Like I know a lot about this kid because I watched. Like he had me watching G League games at 3 p.m. on like a Wednesday. Or like 1 p.m. on a Wednesday. Like I was following the G League on Instagram for a while just because he was in it, you know? I wanted to see everything he did. And I really wasn't disappointed. I was just like, hey, he's got some stuff to work on. He literally dribbles with his head down sometimes, so his dribble moves get a little more predictable. He really, really wants to get past people, and he really, really wants to dunk on people. But he's also he settles a little too much for me. Like, I feel like he could force the issue into a pass, but he doesn't make good on time, on target passes. He can make good, easy passes, but like, just something he needs to work on. He's kind of thin. He's like 6'6", but he's not like super built yet. So he can get knocked off of his driving angle really easy with just a little bit of contact. So it's hard for him to turn the corner, for him to get to the rim and show off the athleticism that he has. But sometime in the weight room, obviously the heavier you are, the little slower you are, and a little bit less verticality you get. But he'll still be able to throw it down with the best of them. his projection right now is looking like Zach LaVine, and I will take that. I will take an all-star slam dunk contest champion who's good at shooting threes. That's literally what he looks like, you know? So yeah, him, excited for him. Evan Mobley out of USC, he's going to be really good he's going to be really, really good on defense. Can stretch the floor a little bit, but he'll be primarily good for defense. Jalen Suggs, excuse me. There's two Jalens, right? Shout out Jalen Rose for paving the way for there being a billion Jalens, because I'm not going to lie to you, kind of low-key thinking if I have a son or a dog and it's a boy, I'm naming a Jalen. Just putting that out there. Maybe a middle name, maybe just the whole name of the dog. I don't know, but I really like the name Jalen. Shout out Jalen Rose and his immaculate haircuts. Jalen Suggs is so interesting. He's so interesting, right? 6'4", the best quarterback in the state of Minnesota and the best point guard in the state of Minnesota at the same time. Went to Gonzaga. The first time I ever saw him play was when it was the school he went to, Minnehaha. It's such a silly name, Minnehaha. They were playing Sierra Canyon on ESPN in the Target Center in Minnesota, and they sold out the building, and the Timberwolves hadn't even done that year. But Sierra Canyon with Bronny, Zaire Wade, and Zaire Williams, and Brandon Boston versus Chet Holmgren and Jalen Suggs on the same team. And it was just crazy, right? And Jalen Suggs, I was like, man, this dude, he's a bucket getter. And he plays good defense, good decision making. You saw him have an incredible season with Gonzaga. Hit that shot against UCLA. I mean, I was like, I'm a fan of his, and I was like, dang, that John going in. And sure enough, it went in. But he's a really good player. I feel like he'll be a really good point guard acquisition anywhere he goes, and he can hit some shots. He already has a good frame. Like, he's already strong. He's already quick, you know. So that won't be too much of a he won't have to be in the weight room, but so much is what I'm trying to say. So that's my just quick level thoughts on the 4 best prospects, I would say. But the draft should be good. I'm really excited. I haven't bought an NBA jersey in a really long time, but I'm buying a Jalen Green jersey like the second I can. I am so happy to see him in the league. Like, just so happy. I didn't buy a LaMelo jersey because I was just like, I want a black one. And I was in the Charlotte airport and they didn't have any. I was like, dang, that's kind of sucky. But I'm gonna get a LaMelo jersey, and I'm gonna get me a Jalen Green one. I'm gonna get Allie one too, because bring him trust. It's gonna be amazing. I'm so excited to root for him. I'm so excited for what's going on. But hey, thank you for sticking with me, even though I've been on like a 2-month hiatus or however long it was. It was really refreshing, really good to be back, really good to just like tap back in. Watching the playoffs was a blast. I loved it. But just in general, just like, thanks for sticking with me. I'll try to get back to more episodes. I have a lot of good ideas that I came up with in the meantime, but just in general, thanks for tapping in. I hope you all stay safe. I hope you all, enjoy yourselves, get to go outside, touch some grass, see some family, see some friends, everything you got to do to stay refreshed, stay recharged. Hope you're all doing well. I'll catch you all next time.